Then we can export this RVT files, export an Archicad file to RVT as well. And this would be for 3D geometry. To do this, we would go in Archicad to the 3D window. Important, whenever you're exporting 3D information in Archicad, you want to go to the 3D model window to do that. Once you've done that, you go to the menu File, Save As, and select the option for Revit Project File, the format. Then you're going to go to Export 3D Model Options by just clicking the Options button there. And that's where you can set certain information like, do you want to export properties and classifications, or only selected classification systems, or all relevant property systems, or do you want to keep the hierarchy of beams, columns, curtain walls, railings, and stair elements? Setting your units. And then also, are you exporting to the latest file version, 2024, which is the latest version, supported by Archicad, or the 2023, which is the previous version. Some notes to kind of keep aware of when you're exporting to Revit. 2D data, such as drawings and layouts, are not exported. So you're only exporting the 3D geometry. That's an important thing to note, both about the IFC and about the RVT, is it's the 3D geometry and the data on the IFC as well that you're exporting. Parameters of GDL objects are not exported, just the geometry. Archicad project and story data is not exported. Interference checking, collision detection in Revit can be applied to the exported RVT file. Archicad zones are exported with their 3D representation only. Therefore, Revit rooms are not generated from them automatically. So there's an ability to create a Revit room on the other side if you have a specific type of zone that's specific to Revit. The elements are exported as so-called what's called a Revit direct shape. It's kind of the interoperability elements. And then those can be used as reference model elements as well. The export geometries are frozen and locked. They cannot be modified. It's kind of like when you import in a SketchUp file, imports in as a object. You can always explode those elements, but then that takes them into a different type of editing option in Archicad, similar to Revit, which would be a morph, which is different than editing a wall or something like that. Okay, let's review our Archicad tip of the week. Today, it's going to be tracking model changes. So one of the things that's important in Revit is the ability, obviously, to and desire to be able to track changes from your consultants. So if your consultants have deleted columns in Revit, they've deleted structural elements in Revit, they've moved those elements, they've added new structural elements, you want to be able to track what's happened from the previous version of what your consultant sent you. So there is an opportunity to do this in Archicad. The way you do that is you want to use, or what Archicad allows you to do, is to apply color codes to be able to compare model versions. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And you kind of see here, these are examples of some of those color codes where it's showing basically deleted information as well as new information and changed information. So in order to detect changes between different model versions, and these are applied to IFC, not to the Revit files with IFC files. What you want to do is go to the model, to the menu File, Interoperability, and go to IFC and detect IFC model changes. In the IFC model change detection wizard, you can use the browse buttons to locate and select the IFC model. So you can kind of see here where the Revit IFC model exchange is down below. It detects those. So you want to select the older version, you want to select the newer version, you want to browse to find those files. Click next. Then you're going to use the defaults typically, but you could change this as well for the IFC domain, structural function, group by, element type. And then finally, it'll show you what new elements are. It'll list the number. It'll show you modified elements, and it'll show you deleted elements, and by comparing those two files. And then you click merge. When you do that, It's going to merge those elements in. It's going to apply a color to those elements. And you can then open up the issue organizer to manage and to review that information. So you kind of see here that the new information is green. The modified information is kind of a muted green. And the deleted is red, and blue, it means something or an element is selected. In the issue organizer, you can select elements, and then it will highlight in the 3D window. You can then define whether that element's going to be an urgent element that needs to be worked on by a team owner. You can assign it to a team owner. You can define the due date, whether it's open or it's been closed, etc. And this is where you can view all of the issues within your project using your issue organizer. You can also view the and manage the vertical positions of that new file as well. And when you're when you're working with these elements that have been merged in. The other, once you've sort of worked on sort of managing the elements that have been merged in as a whole within the project, you can also manage them as single issues using the issue manager. The issue manager allows you to take an issue such as the column here where it's been these ones in red have been deleted, right? And so you could put in here a note to people on your team that these particular columns were deleted. Someone needs to review this as to why and get back to our consultant, etc. And you can track that information. You can track its status and whether someone has actually followed up on it as well. The colors can also be redefined. If you're not happy with the red, green, and blue, you can go into your work environment by going to Options and Work Environment. And it opens up the Work Environment palette here, dialog, and then you can go to the on-screen options there under User Preference Schemes. And you can redefine the colors of those simply by double-clicking the color, which will open up a color palette, and then you can change those colors as you want. That is our tip of the week. So let's get into Archicad to review some of these as well.